Once upon a time, there was a small town named Greenville. The people who lived there were content with their simple lives, surrounded by lush forests and rolling hills. However, they were not prepared for the terror that was about to befall them. One night, a young couple was out for a walk in the woods when they stumbled upon a creature unlike anything they had ever seen before. It was tall and thin, with elongated fingers and a hairless body. Its eyes were dark and empty, and it seemed to stare right through them. The couple ran in terror, never daring to speak of what they had seen. But the creature, known as the Rake, was not content to remain hidden. It began to stalk the town, appearing in people's homes at night and watching them as they slept. The townspeople were terrified, but they had no idea how to stop the Rake. As the attacks continued, the townspeople turned to a local pastor for help. He told them that the Rake was a demon, sent to torment them for their sins. The townspeople were desperate. They decided to drive out the demon with an exorcism. The exorcism was held in the town square, and all of the townspeople gathered to watch. The pastor led the ceremony, calling upon the power of God to drive out the demon. But as the ceremony reached its climax, the Rake appeared in the center of the square. The townspeople were paralyzed with fear as the Rake began to speak. It told them that it was not a demon, but a victim of a terrible curse. A group of villagers had banished it from its home and family long ago, and now it was seeking its revenge. The Rake's words did not have the desired effect, and the townspeople were not moved by its story. They continued with the exorcism, and the Rake was finally driven out of the town, but not before causing much destruction and taking a few lives. The town was left in shambles, and many of the survivors were left with deep emotional scars. The Rake, however, was not done yet. It returned to the town even more angry and determined. This time, it was not content with just watching and stalking the townspeople. It began to attack them in broad daylight. The townspeople were caught off guard. They had never seen the creature during the day before. The townspeople quickly rallied. They knew they couldn't let the creature destroy their town and their lives. They formed a group of volunteer fighters, and they began to train and prepare themselves to face the Rake. They built traps, weapons, and studied the creature's movement and behavior. The day of the final confrontation arrived. The Rake came back to the town, and the volunteers were ready for it. The fight was intense and brutal, but finally, the townspeople were able to defeat the Rake. But the victory came at a great cost. Many of the volunteers lost their lives in the fight, and the town was left in ruins. The townspeople were left to pick up the pieces of their lives. They rebuilt the town and honored the memory of their fallen heroes. They passed down the story of the Rake and the exorcism. But this time, they added the story of the volunteer fighters and their bravery. They made sure that their children and grandchildren knew the true nature of the creature and the importance of compassion and forgiveness.